All right, welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation for tonight's Hidden Gem segment. I am co-founder John Henry of Both Sides of the Conversation. Tonight should be an amazing conversation. We have some amazing brothers that we're highlighting tonight for some of the things that they're doing in our community, impacting the community. I was able to work with these brothers and feed some people in need, and they have a well-versed background of things that they're doing in the Bayview and in San Francisco, helping out in our community and making impact. So tonight here in Gym should be special. We're going to bring them up and we're going to go through some of the things that they're doing. We want to highlight these brothers. That's what this segment is about, highlighting people in the community that's doing amazing things. We also want to promote our Black and brown businesses. That's what highlight the Hidden Gym show. So tonight it is going to be amazing to talk with these brothers, and they have some dynamic backgrounds and some information for our community that is needed and is happening. And just love to see some more good brothers in the community doing stuff. A lot of times we hear in our community, where's the brothers at doing something? Here goes some more brothers that are giving a hard sweat, tears to the community, making change, making impact, and doing stuff to really impact the community. So I'm gonna go ahead tonight and introduce our first hidden gem. He goes by the name of Kai. The guy, the man, the myth, the young man is doing some amazing thing. He is one of the fellows of the Urban Ed Academy and Man of the Bay Initiative. And this program that he's a part of is about creating equity in education for systems to recruit Black male teachers and educate the Bay Area. He came from Delaware State. There's a lot more that we're going to learn about this brother, but just wanted to give him that introduction. What's going on, my brother Kai? Go on and let the people know what's going on with you.
Brother Henry, thank you for having me. Like you said, my name is Clarke. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, a graduate of Delaware State University. I studied exercise science there. Currently, I'm a third cohort of the Men to Bay Initiative. Like you said, it's basically a program built to bring Black men into education. A lot of times there's like a big gap in education when you see quality of education and you see just seeing more Black people in education overall. Right now, we only have 2% of Black males as educators, so it's important that Black children get to see themselves in the classroom. So right now, I'm on my journey to make sure that I'm the person that the Black kids could see and say, you know what, Mr. Kai, he's cool. I want to be like Mr. Kai. He's doing positive things in the community. He's not going down the wrong path. So I know in my coming up, I had very few Black teachers, but the Black teachers that I did have, they definitely had large impacts on my growth. So I'm here trying to just make sure I shape that for the next future leaders.
Man, that's deep. That's deep. So at Urban Ed, can you kind of give the people a little information? Because I know you guys are located in the Bayview, District 10. I know sometimes in the community people don't really know all the services and things that's going on. So can you kind of go in depth of like what are you guys trying to do and accomplish at Urban Ed? So people that may from the community don't know how to get involved, or may be intrigued, want to help out. Like, can you give them a little information on that?
Sure, definitely. And I can jump in here, John. I appreciate you having me again. Definitely thank you to both sides of the conversation for hosting us. We've been working sort of in silence. Real G's move like lasagna, and we want to let the work speak for itself. But as Kai stated, this is the third year of an initiative we had called Man the Bay, where we are seeking to put one Black male teacher in every elementary school in the city of San Francisco. We want to start with public schools. It's about 67 in SFUSD, and so for us, we know math is going to be tricky, especially in a place like San Francisco and bringing teachers here. So our goal to get that done is to bring 100 Black men to and through the credentialing process so that they can be placed in an SFUSD school. To make that real here, and it's not just a thing to find these men and then to develop them and to credential them. You have to be able to have these people here. In the Bay Area is not an easy place for folks to stay, as we've seen. And so the program matches the development piece of it with housing. And we work specifically with African-American homeowners and property owners to support these Black men during their 4-year commitment to teach in our neighborhood schools. But urban ed, that's sort of the evolution and how Kai got here, so I wanted to kind of address that. But I, I am not from San Francisco. I'm not a native here. I'm born in New Jersey. I'm born in Michigan, but raised in New Jersey, a little small beach town called Asbury Park. That's actually smaller than Bayview. It's about 15,000 people. And, unfortunately, it's like a lot of other towns we know where, we have communities in need, and those needs have not been addressed for years and years and years. I found Urban Ed Academy through a mentor 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago in 2016, and introduced me to the founder of the organization, Dwayne Jones. It was a Saturday school here in Bayview, and in 6 years has served hundreds of Black boys, matching them on Saturdays, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade boys with Black men who look like them. So there was this mentorship component with trying to achieve and increase academic outcomes. And it was a great thing for a while. But that magic of getting Black men into schools was really what was special about what we were doing. And it sort of evolved from the Saturday school model to a model where we try to put Black men in schools Monday through Friday as well. And Kai, we're blessed to have Kai in this 3rd cohort so far in the program.
Yeah, it's pretty deep. I kind of remember when Urban Ed kicked off about, it was like some years ago, 8 years ago or something like that. And I know like they was really pushing technology. I remember when Dwayne Jones was like running it, and I know it was a technology thing, right? Getting young Black males into science and the mentorship part you talked about, and then education, and now it's kind of evolved into education. Um, I think that's powerful, right? And I know you guys not being from the Bay Area, because of gentrification, a lot of the Black people in San Francisco are not even here. But to have you guys that come from different dynamic backgrounds and being able to educate, what do you guys think that we need to happen? Because we get a lot of elected officials, city officials, and we got some conversations coming up in the future with some of our people at the school district, some of the school boards. One of the big challenges that we're seeing, and I know Nate Ford's heavily involved with some of the stuff that's going on with the school district stuff. It seems to be a challenge and a disconnect for the school board, the schools and community, and then our youth. And what do you guys think some of the stuff, how do we connect this, right? Because when I hear Kai say one Black man to every school, what type of impact do you guys see when we have people of color that look like us, that work with our kids? What do we see far as impact? Is it the style of education that gives you guys the thing, or is it just being man of color working with the kids? Because I noticed it when it's men and there's Black women in the community working together, the impact happens. For some reason, our kids connect, right? And there's a calling for a need of more of us in the schools, but also how do we reshape the curriculum? Because we know our kids learn different, right? But we also have to have the adults and the people who running able to listen to our kids. I think this has been like the theme of the week. And me and Rico, we are committed to the development and the understanding of our young people and trying to bridge the gap with our young and the old. And a lot of our youth are frustrated because there's a big disconnect between our young generation and our old generation. And we got to bridge that gap and pull them together. But from you guys' perspective, how do we do that? Or how do we make the instrumental push so that we could get our leaders and our officials to understand the needs and the dynamics so that we could get the proper support and make it? But I understand the struggles. What Kai said, living is the biggest problem here in California. We have a lot of people from across this country that would love to come to the Bay Area and bring some of that sauce, some of that swag, as they, to the Bay. But the cost of living is outrageous. And I think that's a disadvantage for our youth. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think I actually think I would love to hear what Danny and Kai have to say about this, but I'll try to give a real quick response. Our whole thing is that representation matters through and through, and that for our children, you can't be what you can't see is something we believe. In order to be successful, you have to find some demonstration of that success, And if you don't see yourself in what they're telling you is success, how is that an attractive thing for you if you don't see yourself in it? I don't care what traditionally is look successful, richer, wealth, clean cut this, playing lacrosse, like playing golf by age, whatever, those like indicia of some higher level of class, associated with a culture that's not yours, is something that has been a deterrent in some ways when it comes to buy-in for different cultures into this American educational system. So that's like the maybe immediate answer I'll give you. But on the representation piece, I think one reason we've been able to sort of get this project off the ground, and it's a big thank you, to groups like Black for the Future, 100% College Prep as partners that have allowed us to work in confidence here in the community and be able to be authentically us and try to make this about Black children, the Black neighborhood, and Black teachers. And that cover comes from the representation above that. So it starts with the mayor, Mayor Breed making the proclamation she has, Supervisor Walton being as much of an advocate and champion as he has for Black progress in this city, Director Davis opening up things at the Human Rights Commission. All of those moves above kind of give us this cover then to be able to unite around what ultimately we think is the sauce, which is having the people in those positions look like the people being served. And it's not as easy as just snapping people from one race to another and boom, everything's better. But over time, it's what do those things mean beyond just the adult to student connection? So if you have teachers that live in a community that's a reliable taxpayer in the neighborhood, that's contributing to everything else happening in that neighborhood, the local economy, all of the other small businesses around, which might happen to be run by the families of the people in that school that you're serving. That little ecosystem that gets created is something that you don't get outside of the community. And when you're commuting 2 to 3 hours to your job, it's really hard. It's really easy to detach and not feel like you're there. So it's more than just, oh, we look alike. It's that we have the same lived experience, both past, I understand where you're coming from because I've been like that. I had a childhood like that, and present. I know we both know what this grocery store is like. We both been to food co, same food co. I see you in there. You know what I'm saying? That level, I think that's the elevated level of experience and culture that the representation mantra it means for me personally. I would love to hear Danny or Kai's response to that.
Yeah. Hey Daniel, why you going? I'm not even gonna read your bio. I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then so that we keep the order. And then I see where this is going. We're gonna have some good conversation. So instead of doing it the order, go ahead and bring yourself in and introduce yourself to everybody, and then answer the question. And we'll jump back to Kai, and then Randy, we'll have you introduce yourself. We'll do it like that. We just do it different tonight.
That's Dan the Man. That's okay. Dan the Man. I gave him a new nickname. He gave me a nickname. He don't know I have to get him back. He been calling me a nickname for a long time. I said, next time I see him, I got a nickname for you. So that's Dan the Man. Dan the Man, he's gonna take the mic.
Hey, listen, and Kai waits until we're on live stream to drop it on me. Got it. Hey, you never know till you know. But no, serious business. The reason I'm over here going is because I'm seeing the excitement pop up in Randy as he's talking, which doesn't really come up for us when we're in the middle of it, day in and day out, and putting the work in and actually wiping the dirt off your face, so to speak. But it is the moment when you're able to kind of talk about it, not abstractly, because Kai is a living representation that is happening, but when you're able to talk about it from the full end and the full spectrum and scope of it all, it's definitely good energy to be around. So appreciate you, John, creating a space for us to be here tonight. My name is Daniel Rumley. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I got to tell you, Roll Tide. I've been in the Bay. Actually, my California experience stretched back 7 years. In the Bay, directly working with Randy on this initiative. The past 3.5, going on 4. But just to kind of, cut directly to your question around the impact, right? I see all of this through the educational lens. It's built around educational statistics and One black man in front of a black child before they get to sixth grade. 29% more likely to go to college, 39% less likely to drop out of high school. Like those are cool numbers to actually build something on. But I'm gonna come from a completely different angle. One of the most profound things I heard recently, and it was extremely simple. My man said, people wonder why our kids act like that in the schools. He says, because there's no adults in there that look like them. And it was very plain, but it resonated in a way of everything we're talking about. Like, I can't identify with this person that's telling me what I need to do, what I need to learn, how I need to walk, where I need to be. They don't know how I come to school, and I'm supposed to be somebody different for the small period of time when my entire life is something that's structured and reconfigured a different way when I'm at home or in my neighborhood. So that's number one. But number two, I'm seeing this whole shortage of teachers in the educational system nationally, and also in San Francisco directly as an opportunity to put more Black men in our communities in institutional structures that aren't going anywhere. Two things are going to be present in every community you go to that's Black and brown. You're going to have schools. You're going to have churches. That goes for our white brothers and sisters too. You're going to have both of those things. And so if we can get more men that look like us in front of our kids, and for whatever reason, there may be, not enough men in the homes right now or in the communities in productive roles. There's a litany of reasons. We can go back to Willie Lynch, depending on how far back we want to go in terms of the reasons why. But in order to just cut the spigot off and where are we going to change the direction and go another way, I think having the leader in your school in front of you every day, growing up, that functionally looks like you, has the power and the say so and the ability to nurture, edify, and discipline from that role of a teacher that is so constructive for 12 years of our lives, somebody that looks like you, fundamentally cares about you. That's a different environment than most kids growing up in urban experiences get right now. And I think the last thing I'll say before we get back into the conversation, Randy dropped the names of a few folk, and there's a lot of other hidden soldiers in the not necessarily in the light, if you will, that are ultimately displaying levels of courage to push against the system, push against status quo, push against conventional wisdom, to do something different, to get different results. So you gotta big up, Mayor Breed, Shaman, Commissioner Davis, as he said, and like I said, there's other folk that just aren't on the tip of the tongue right now that are as instrumental. So courage is a big thing from city officials and elected officials.
Yeah, definitely. We got to shout out, the mayor, Cheryl Davis and Shaman. We got some amazing leaders in our community that is really about education. I think that's one of the things that I'm most happy with, working with Shaman and Ms. Davis, and I'm talking with the mayor, like they all about education and educating our young Black and brown kids. And I think it's important, and they're very intentional, right? And they understand, she understands she understands the fundamentals and the literacy part, with reading comprehension and stuff. To Shell at 100% college prep, they put out some nice books for the kids over the weekend, for the holidays. There's Kwanzaa stuff. So I think, we have the right people behind us to make the movement happen. But there's definitely some work at the school districts and the boards, because this prisoner pipeline is really real. And one of the things that always pisses me off when it comes to the school district, I just find with our Black and brown kids, we are so quick to label them ADD, ADHD, or they have some kind of learning disability. And I think we have to really look into that, because we're starting to get into this point of just pushing these drugs and these labels on our kids. And I think we got a lot of stuff that's going on in the community with the violence and some of these stuff that these kids are dealing with. And I think that's what my biggest push and frustration is when we talk about mental health in our community. It seems that we have all this talk and things for mental health, but it's not working in our community. And I'm going to keep talking about it, because I think we need these service providers and we need these psychologists. We need them in our schools to deal with a lot of the mental health stuff before we get into pushing our kids into drugs and the labels of these things that our doctors or our people in the schools want to push, because it's really hurting our community. And we got that's another conversation that we got to have, but we got to have that. And I think
No, like real quick, just to double down on what you're saying, it's a legit thing. You can't expect a kid to come into a school and want to learn what's being taught to them, and none of that stuff actually applies to the life they live when they leave there. And like, so unpacking what kids are coming to school with is a real thing. And if that means psychiatrists, if that means more counselors, if that means, you know, half days of actual work and half days of intentional self-development and healing for kids through, you know, innovative and creative ways, whatever that may look like, that stuff's got to happen, because what we're doing isn't working. To your point.
right. And that's the point I'm trying to make. And it is not just for the officials, it's for our families in the community. You know, our kids come home and they're not getting that same support for school at home. And that's hurting us as well. So I'm not gonna push it on one side. I think it's an overall issue that's impacting the community and our in the schools and officials at the school district. But we got to close this gap, and we got to keep having these conversations, because our kids are being set back in this time of the pandemic with the Zoom schooling. I'm hearing it. I'm talking to these young people. They're struggling. The way to you know, before it was you on the chalkboard and you got instant access to questions, and trying to pick some of this information up on Zoom. It's a challenge, right? But we have the private schools in our city. The kids are still going. So this gap of education and time and learning is killing us. And then, you know, we have to talk about the realities of, because we have all of these things that we need to unpack in our community, do we extend the schools? Because we need an extra hour or two to deal with some of the mental stuff before we could get the kids in education. So we got a lot to talk about when it comes to this education thing. But I want to turn it over to Randy. I want him to introduce himself, because I know he jumped in there on Kai thing, and we'll continue the conversation. But I want everybody to know who you are, Randy. You're very important. And I know you spearheading a lot of this stuff. So I want you to talk to the community and let the community know what's going on.
My bad, Kai. I didn't mean to jump in on your time, man. I just went, yeah, he wanted to talk about everything. I was like, oh, I got it. But I'll make my piece quick. I'm Randy Seriguchi. I'm from Asbury Park, New Jersey. I'm son of Sandra, the son of Randy. Like a lot of other people I know, one thing discovering this year, the irony behind being separated from folk, was that I found time to get close to family. And one thing I'll say here that I also is a big part of what motivated me to do this work is that despite getting close to my family, I still haven't been able to get close to my father. And it's a relationship that I think has been it's clearly a critical one, you know, that a lot of friends of mine, you know, a lot of cousins, a lot of brothers I know, has impacted their lives, you know, in some ways. And for me, the absence of a male role model, and then the substitutes around, you know, uncles, stepfather, not having a Black male teacher until college, but, you know, thank God that happened, having one there at the University of Michigan. It was important to me to be able to see successful people that look like me, that, you know, despite whatever confidences I might have about myself, you know, kind of verified that I could do it. And not having that up front early is a reason why I want to focus on elementary school, because I know how important that is. But I bounced from, you know, Jersey to Michigan I went to DC. I went to law school in DC. So I'm an attorney by trade. I'm licensed to practice in New York, and hopefully can be licensed to practice in California one day. Kind of got our hands full with this work. So, you know, I can't just break it, take the bar. But one day, because I'm California's been my home for going on 9 years. And it's a place I believe in for all of the reasons people moved here back in the day. You know, people continue to want to be here despite how expensive this place is. I found that it has the infrastructure and the promises back in the day that could create the first wave of true reparations and true equity-minded investments for the Black community in the country. I think California could do that first. And I was disappointed this election season to see Prop 16, lose so handily. I don't know if you would y'all followed Prop 16 here on both sides of the conversation. But as an attorney in some of the policy work and political work I did before I moved to San Francisco, I saw that Prop 209, which was passed here in 1996. Are you familiar with 209, John?
Yep, I know about it.
You know about it. Come on, man. It wreaked havoc, and it's not something that gets talked about outside of circles and folks that it impacts. When it comes to these hiring decisions and et cetera. But I am on a personal, passionate rampage to get it repealed. And I was working at a nonprofit and didn't have the time to jump in with this campaign, but I'm hoping we get another shot in 2022, because I think it's going to unlock a lot for Black and brown communities across the state, but specifically here in San Francisco, where there's so many resources to draw from. And if we can get a chance to call it what it is and fund programs for people and communities specifically, I think we're going to get the results that we want. And so when I discovered Urban Ed Academy, again, through a mentorship connection, what was special to me was that I had the prospect of not just being some kid who was passionate about something and did some reading. This gave me a chance to really prove it and do something, actually make something. And this was an organization that was of a certain size, and I'm proud to say we've grown over the last 4 years every year, which is a testament really truly to the partners and to the support we've had around here. From everybody we mentioned at the city, to the Warriors Community Foundation has been huge. The San Francisco Foundation has been huge. All Stars Helping Kids, Ronnie Lott's foundation has believed in us early when we were talking crazy, saying, in order to get teachers to live here, move here to teach, why not have a place for them to live here so they can truly be a part of the community? I got laughed at, John. I got laughed at.
I'm sure. We're very nice.
Who gonna pay for that? That's what they said.
Right. We're very nice here in the West Coast. But when it comes to welcoming people from the outside, sometimes in this work we do, it can be a challenge. But I think you hit a good point here. And I'm glad you three brothers is on here tonight. And I want you guys to talk about the homeless feed as well. But I think what you're saying is powerful and it needs to be heard, right? The good dynamic between three of you brothers is y'all not from California, right? But y'all came here and y'all doing the work. See, sometimes here we get caught into, if you didn't grow up in the community, if you don't know anybody, they can't help the community. You know what I'm saying? So again, part of this is proving to people that's watching in the community, like, you don't necessarily have to live here to do great work. You know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily have to grow up in San Francisco to be able to impact the community, because sometimes community gets frustrated, or they want to, we don't want to let nobody in because they don't understand us. And I'm the reverse. I think sometimes we need people from the outside to help out, because sometimes the people that's here get comfortable, get complacent. And then we have local celebrities. We have people that's just trying to be, I know everybody just because I know everybody, but then that don't mean you getting the work done, or that don't mean you could lead right. So these are the things we have to think about. But I think when we do bring people in from the outside, we have to mesh them with the community, work, collaborate, and make change. So for me saying that, I just wanted to highlight that, because I hear it. I hear the chatter. And sometimes people believe if they didn't grow up here, they don't understand. And I'm just not agreeing with it. I don't agree with it. I feel like we're Black. You guys come from different geographic locations, but the struggle is the same. We all dealing with, you hit it right on the head. My father wasn't there. How many kids in this community that we dealing with, their fathers ain't there? It's the same issue. But how do we work together to fix the issue and have the conversation?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Kai.
I definitely want to jump in right here. I feel like the whole conversation, it ties back to what you said in the beginning, just closing that generational gap. With Urban Ed, I feel like this is like one step in the right direction of doing that. They are right now, they're recruiting Black young men into education. I know in my cohort, there's nobody over 35 years old, Black males. The cohort before us, I went to Delaware State with two of those people, three of them actually. So they're all under 30 years old. So now that means that in these schools, they have Black young men that aren't old heads to them. They're not like, they don't like somebody's grandfather. They look like people that they can relate to. So having somebody that looks like yourself, that's walking the same streets that you're walking, that can talk the same talk that you're talking, it means something. It's way different than sitting in the classroom and having a white lady talk to you about your struggles. Because how can you talk to me about my struggles if you've never been through any of the things I've really been through? So when we talk about the community, no, I'm not from California. I am from Brooklyn, New York, but our community is the Black community. And I feel like that's what's really important. When I came to California, the first thing I saw, it was extreme poverty, like poverty like I've never seen before. Like I said, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I've seen poverty before. But the amount of poverty that I saw in San Francisco was just absolutely different. So it was alarming to me out of the gate. So the first thing I thought was, what can I do? A lot of times what I see in our community is that people, we see what's wrong. Like we see it every day. We know what's wrong in our community, but nobody necessarily takes the step into saying, I'm gonna do this to make this change. If it's the smallest thing starts to move the needle. If nobody's moving the needle and everybody's watching the gas go out, then the gas is gonna go out and the car fails. So I felt like I came in, I saw that there was a hunger problem. I saw homeless people are starving, it's COVID. It's hard for me to eat some days. So if it's hard for me to eat some day, I have a job, I have a house to live in. How do these people feel? So I decided to take the initiative to make some sandwiches. I reached out to Daniel and Randy. I'm saying, I know a lot of, before I came here, like I said, my friend Messiah, who introduced me into Urban Academy and the Man to Bay program, I know they were doing community service projects in the past, but with COVID going on, it's a lot harder for us to do those kind of initiatives. So I said, I know we have stuff in the budget at the end of the year. Let's make some sandwiches, get some loaves of bread, some turkey, some ham, some cheese, go out on the corners of Paloux and 3rd Street, feed the homeless, have some fun. We bring out the speaker, we had a whole ball. So I think it's important to identify what community means. It's not necessarily that I'm from where you're from, it's more that I feel where you're from.
Man, that was deep. And I want to thank you guys for extending the invitation to me to let me come participate with you guys and doing that process, serving the people. Because again, here at both sides of the conversation, we believe you can't lead the community if you don't feed the community. And you got to feed them with food, love, and knowledge. And that's what we're trying to do. And I'm glad you said that, Kai. I mean, I think that that's powerful. And I think one of the things is people are afraid and people are afraid to take risks. So sometimes the people who have the say so or the wherewithal to make change are afraid if it goes wrong, it's on me. But we got to stop thinking like that, right? And then these service providers, these people that's in our community, they are afraid to come to the community. And that's half the problem. We could throw all of the money in the world at mental health and all these issues. If the people are afraid of our people, the change won't happen. So we have this circle that keeps happening where everybody's saying we're putting all of this money here, we're getting all of this stuff done, but we still have a whole large community saying, well, where's it at? We can't have people sitting at their desk saying, community, come see me. It don't work. You're already dealing with the stigma of mental health, homelessness. We got to get people on the ground out there with the people. If you're afraid and you can't deal with the people, we got to remove those people. And then from the other point, you're talking about the elders of the community. See, I get it. The young people need that connection with young people. But how do we get the elders of our community to pass the torch and get behind the young people? Because that's another big problem. We have too many elders in the community holding on too long and not willing to pass the torch and let the young people go and support them. So what happens is we get stuck in the old ways, the old thinking, all of the fear things, right? And we don't make progression. So we got to have those conversations. And we will have those conversations here at both sides of the conversation, especially with our young people. We commit to our young people. We're going to have our young youth conversation once a month. We're going to talk about this education thing. We're going to talk about this bridging the gap of young and old. And we're going to listen on here. I want all the elders out there to think about this. Listen to our young people. We have to listen to our young people. I'm going to say it again. Don't listen to respond and tell them why. Don't listen to respond to give them an answer. I need all the elders, the leaders of the community, the senior pastors. Listen to the young people. Understand. Don't just respond. I'm going to keep pushing this because I get fired up about it when I got young people calling me and they feel like, you know, we always talk about we need the young people to get involved and they can't get involved, or when they get involved, they still feel like their word is not being heard, or the stuff or the information or the feedback they're giving is not happening, and they become frustrated and they become disconnected, and then they don't want to talk to us. And that's the last thing we need in the pandemic when we have stress level high is our continued young people disconnected. So we're going to work on it here, man. But I appreciate you saying that. And I hope the elders out there are listening. We have to listen to our young people. They are the ones in the streets, okay? Most of us elderly people are people that's 40 plus, 35 plus. We getting off work, we going home, we taking care of kids, grandkids, family. We ain't out there. So their experience is different than our experience. So we got to listen to the people that's on the ground, in the community, in the streets, and make sure that we are making change that impact them. Because most of us, we just going home after work. So I want to say that, but go ahead, Randy. I see you want to say something. Jump in there.
I was gonna say, man, you inviting some spicy conversation, man, around the holiday time.
That's what we do.
Boy, I'm over here
You
like,
trying to go out with a bang.
darn,
Yeah,
blood right
yeah,
now.
for sure.
Like, oh, this is a family-friendly space.
You putting the jalapenos in here, man. I'm
Yeah.
trying to cut out the heartburn, bro.
Oh, you're sweating?
Hey, we have to have these tough conversations. You know,
Nah,
this,
we do.
me and my co-founder Rico, this is what this was all about. We got to stop BSing in our community. We got to start having the uncomfortable conversation. And this is what this is about. The good, the bad, the ugly. I know some people ain't gonna like it, but it's the truth. We got to have these conversations if we want to heal. We had an amazing conversation with our mothers last week, the fathers. I'm getting so many messages from people like, man, just me talking about this was healing for me. We can heal through getting it off our chest. We got to talk about it. This in the closet mentality, I'll just deal with it and keep moving on. It ain't working. We got to be real and talk about it. Yes, it's difficult. Some people's feelings are going to get hurt. Some people go feel like it's their fault, but we got to have a conversation. So, I mean, that's what we're doing here.
We do, and not to belabor that too much, because I know that wasn't the point of today. But you struck a nerve with me personally. I know Danny, my brother Danny's got some strong opinions about this as well. But I think what's the most politically correct thing I could say about this? Because I still got heavy respect for the elders, but I'm gonna tell you right now, in my travels across the country and seeing other communities, unfortunately, like San Francisco also, unfortunately, it's a common thing to see leadership hold on for 30, 35, 40, 45 years. And in some ways, it's an amazing feat, because it's like, damn, like that's endurance. You know what I'm saying? To be at the leadership helm of anything for that long is incredibly impressive. But at what cost does that level of static energy, what cost does it come? What does it come with? We can't truly reform if there's always the same mind leading this thing decade in and decade out, not year in and year out. So I'm, without saying any direct specific anythings, I'm gonna just tell you generally that's how I feel. And I think one specific thing I'll say, like broad sort of ism I'll say, is that I think our elders need to not mistake opinion for proclamation. When they hear young folks express their opinion, we're not telling you how the shit gonna be. Yo, I'm sorry, this is family friendly.
No, you can cuss. This is both sides of the conversation. We keep it real.
I'm not, don't be intimidated by me coming with some analysis and some facts and some fire, maybe even, because I'm pissed off like you are about how messed up this has been for a long time. And yeah, you've been at the helm. And so you can take it personally if you think this is an indictment on you. But I'm not proclaiming anything by telling you what I'm seeing and what I think with my experience and my education, what I think we should do. And those types of conversations that come up in membership meetings or whatever behind the scenes and people don't see, those are the starts of the chasms for a young person, a new person who comes in like, damn, I can't even talk here freely. You know what I'm saying? Without pissing off the old guard, and then therefore being ostracized from any real movement here. And so you find people moving on from certain organizations and then needing to do their own thing or joining something else. And anyway, let me shut up.
I would say that's powerful. You said what I want to say. I'm a little radical. They call me radical over here. I've been pushing this term limit for our elected officials because I don't believe there's no way public seats should be given to somebody and for lifetime and for 30 years. We need term seating. We need new ideals. We are in America. Technology has passed America up. Okay. That's why we're having the issues that we having, because the tech people figured it out. By the time Congress could figure out how to tax us and do all of this stuff, we'd have made so much money, it's too late. We have people on Capitol Hill that don't even understand data and how this internet and this technology works. We have to stop being afraid. We have to stop being afraid. Both parties. We have to be open to change, to evolve, or we are going to lose. And right now, we are losing because we are stuck on this ideology, and it's just madness. And we got to stop playing the game, and we got to really deal with the real issues. When it comes to police reform, when it comes to the systemic racial issues in America, we got to deal with the real. Let's stop chopping at the little stuff at the bottom, and let's start at the top. Let's talk about the Constitution. Let's talk about these federal judges. Let's talk about making police in America carry insurance so we can hold them more accountable. If you're an anesthesiologist and you're going to put somebody to sleep, they have to have insurance. So why are we not asking our cops who could kill somebody to carry insurance? We got to have real conversations with these people and stop playing with the community. We know what it takes to really make change and hold people accountable. When misconduct happens, we need these officers to lose their pension and retirement. Stop playing with the community. It's ways that you can attack things in a way that is going to affect us. So I'm a little radical, but I think it's real. See, radical is real, and that's why people don't like it. But we got some amazing people in there. We got some amazing people right now. We got our mayor. We got our supervisors. We got Miss Davis, who's doing some good things. And that's why I say community, we got to stop all of this BS that's going on. We got to get behind our elected officials and support them. See, because in our community, we always complain, nobody that look like us get the opportunity. We have a black mayor. As soon as we get the mayor, everybody divided. Come on, let's get behind the sister. We got Shaban in office. Get behind them. Instead of all of the, let's get behind these people and support them so we can get some things changed. So I agree with you. I'm a little radical, but I have to be real. And this is the purpose of making this. This is the purpose of creating this. We need our space. This is the pool pit that's real. We ain't poverty pimping our people. We've had enough poverty pimps in our community, playing our community, robbing our community, and we got to stand up and say something about it. And now's the time. This is the time. The pandemic has made everybody sit down and think about family, community. What's wrong? How do we fix it? So while our minds is thinking, we got to stick together and we got to keep pushing forward. So I think that's amazing. Daniel, you want to say something? I see you over there.
Yo, I got, and you just brought another thing up that I'm gonna start with. I got 3 things. So the poverty pimping, right? The same. Since I've been aware of politics in Birmingham, I'm not sure about San Francisco if I look back 30 years, but looking at politics, the same people have been in charge in urban areas. The same party has been in charge in urban areas for decades. And to Randy's point around, people having that endurance to sit in a seat for 30, 40 years. I'm not saying we got to vote for the other party, but we got to find somebody that's unaffiliated, somebody that's unattached, somebody, there's got to be a movement down the middle without the uniform on to challenge the whole system. But no, I think I'm going to keep it simple, man. Like the other 2 points, my father said something to me when I was younger. He said, if I don't have $1 million in the bank by the time I'm 50, I'm gonna help you get yours. So it's a certain level of wisdom and appreciation for when your own time is up. And if you're just a fool and not willing to see your time is up, then the next piece of what I'm about to say is even more profound, right? the same wise man, my pops said to me, there's nothing more dangerous in life than two things on the same battlefield and both their time is come. That old person that don't want to let go and that young bull who's, it's my turn. You can't ask these people for nothing, John. It's just a certain level of take it. And that's just kind of what it is, you know.
And I agree with you. And I want my elder generation and my elders that's out there watching, it's not an attack on you. You know, we love y'all. Y'all got great wisdom. But sometimes, like you said, when we in these seats and we in these positions for too long, sometimes we become divisive and we don't even know it. You know, we come to the table and it's a lot of nagging. It's a lot of divisiveness. We got to work on unity and we get comfortable. It's just a natural thing. We get comfortable to do the things that we get to do, but we got to start breeding some new leaders, some new ideals, and we got to get behind it. But the only way that happens is being open, transparent, you know, and this instant gratification, man, this microwave mentality that it's going to happen overnight. It ain't. But if we start challenging and we doing the uncomfortable thing, and that's why I always respect Mayor Breed for the decision she made to shut everybody down, because sometimes you have to do what's not popular to get things done. And I think we as a community need to understand, like we so easy to just go along with everybody. Sometimes we just got to do something different, challenge it and try it. Because the stuff that we're doing right now ain't working and nobody's held accountable for it anyway. So we might as well try something else. You know, whatever. We might get some different results, but we got to be open. What's up, Kai? I see you up there. I know you're trying to say something. What's going on, bro?
Yes, I wanted to jump in about the representation and education, just and in terms of the elders as well. I feel like, well, me personally, I can only speak for myself. I come from a background of educators. My mother was a teacher for 25 years, just recently retired 2 years ago. Her mother was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. On both sides of my family, my grandmothers were teachers. So I grew up seeing the impact that a teacher has in their community. Um, that was part of the reason why I became a teacher, and I'm now being a teacher. It was more being an impactful person in my community and whatever I'm doing. But it's important that the elders aren't afraid to give their wisdom because it is needed. I've got taught from my parents. I've got taught from all of my greatest teachers. Even people outside of the school, I've learned some of my greatest lessons outside of schools. But it's important that we have those conversations, because without those conversations, the wisdom gets lost, the knowledge gets lost. So I think that with this program, especially, for forever, teachers have been working for too long and getting underpaid. So if you're doing that for so long, you're wearing people out. So it's important that the education system gets to a point that they're having teachers train teachers to be better teachers and not overworking those teachers for the amount of time they have them. If it became a system where after you did your 10 or 15 years, you're teaching the next teacher to be a good teacher for the next 10 or 15 years, and you keep that cycle growing, you're not overworking your teachers, especially when you're not going to pay the teachers that they're supposed to get paid. Lawyers, doctors, they get paid large lump sums of money. I don't have specific numbers to it, but it's a lot bigger than a normal salary for a teacher. But they're the people that are literally making the leaders of tomorrow. They're people are making next doctors and lawyers, pay them comparable price. It's really important that at a governmental side that they see the overwork of the teachers, make sure that there's certain things are put in place like Urban Ed Academy. Right now, I only have a commitment to Urban Ed Academy. After my 4th year at teaching, my decision. And Randy both told me that myself. So that's not overworking. If I did my 4 years right now and I could get one more person to come sign up for Urban Ed Academy and put their 4 years in, now I've had two people, two Black males in an education system motivating the next generation of scholars. So I just think it's important that that conversation is happening, both at the generational thing with people in the streets, people in education, and also at the legal side where actual things are making change.
Oh man, definitely that's powerful. And what you talking about is reform. And definitely we're going to have a conversation to highlight all of our teachers. So I want the young people that's watching and the parents who know teachers are going above and beyond during this Zoom school, reach out to us because we want to highlight these teachers because we know during this time, a lot of teachers are going through it as well. And we want to support our teachers and let them know the ones that's doing amazing things like you guys, that we support you, we respect you, and we honor you, but definitely the pay salary is something that we definitely gonna have to talk about in the future. We're wasting billions and billions of dollars on stimulus packages. And again, we have our most important people in the community that's working with our kids not being paid right. That's an issue. And maybe that's something we could talk about when we talk about reparations. Maybe part of the reparations is boosting the salaries for our teachers. We got to start getting creative, because what's happening is in these other areas, these other communities that's not hit with the social economic issues, they are making great salaries. And I think a lot of that is tied to home ownership, right? Because you understand, as a homeowner, the taxes is what help pay those school districts. And again, when these proposals, I'm in these meetings, I'm listening, I'm hearing people talk. When we're pushing co-ops and different type of living situations, it takes away the tax benefit for our schools and for our teachers. And I think that's why the conversation on housing, how we bring people back in the city, making sure that we can get these people to be homeowners, to pay taxes, so that these taxes can go to our schools and that can help our teachers with salaries. So it's a lot of conversations that's got to happen, and we're going to have them. And we're going to get our young people voices heard, but we want to definitely get our educators on here and have some conversations, some in-depth conversation with them. And that's something that's going to be coming up. And, I just think I think it's just dope what you guys doing, coming from the background you guys come from. And you guys are bringing a different flavor and perspective to education, from what you guys seen in different communities to help our young people. Change is happening, things are happening. So definitely just have to appreciate you guys for that. And then the last thing on this education front, what are you guys seeing? Are you guys hearing from the students that you're working with about the Zoom school, the transition? Is it working? Is it not working? How can we impact it? I know I've talked about this in a couple of meetings. Some of our kids, and Bayview especially, are suffering with infrastructure issues, access to Wi-Fi, access to internet services. And I mean, that's another issue that we got to deal with. They want to push Zoom school, but then half of the infrastructures in our communities are not up to par. And that's another challenge for our young people. And that's steady affecting them to get the education and information you need. So there's a lot of things that we got to deal with. It's a combination. But what are you guys seeing? I mean, that's just something that I keep putting out there. Just want to hear from you guys. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? And the effects that the Zoom school is having on our young people.
Kai, I actually want to pitch that over to you.
So right now, with Urban Ed Academy, we have our community hub. Right now, I'm one of the teachers for the community hub, and I've seen it's been hard for the students. I can't imagine how hard it is for students that don't have a community hub. Students that are at home with a whole bunch of people in the house where they don't have a quiet room. So the community hub has been definitely a great resource for students that have been coming. We have 14 students that come to our community hub. I'm the kindergarten first grade teacher right now. So I'm in charge of making sure that the kindergarten first grade teachers, students are staying on track while they're on their laptops, and also making sure that we have certain lessons and fun things for them to do to make sure they're getting the social side as well while they're at the community hub, and also staying safe with COVID. So it's like so many different moving pieces at one time. But I know that they're looking forward. Like sometimes they're like, I don't want to go back home. I want to stay at the community hub with you guys. We're having fun. We're learning. So I know, like, I can only speak for what I've seen personally. The community hubs and making sure that they have Wi-Fi and laptops and having lunch and having breakfast and walking them from school, because a lot of times parents have work in the morning. So we take the initiative to meet the students at the school that they normally go to, and then walk them over to the community hub. So we have a walking school bus every single morning to make sure that they have a means of transportation. Just paying attention to details, meeting kids where they at, making sure that the needs that they have are being met, from the smallest one to the largest one.
Anybody else want to speak to that? Or you guys, that was good enough for you guys?
Nah, Kai's got first-hand experience of exactly what's happening. Anything I would say or Randy would say would literally be a rendition of what Kai's experienced in our meetings and debriefs. So,
Man, that's cool. I definitely want to thank you guys for that, because I know Nate Ford is doing that as well, making sure that these kids get breakfast, being intentional, making sure they have the things that they need, getting them on. I know he said they had challenges getting people online and different things of that nature. And just want to appreciate you guys and thank you guys, especially being brothers. Again, like I started this a lot of times in our community. People are asking, where are the black men at? Where are the males at? And I just wanted to make sure that we understand this is why we highlight. There are black male educators out there who love our kids, who giving them an opportunity. They're working with them. And this is important for people to see. The support that you guys getting from YCD, Back to the Future, 100% College Prep, from the mayor's office is important, because a lot of times people are saying there's nothing going on in the community. And we just have to make sure that they understand there are things going on. Definitely there's more support needed. There's more collaborations that needed. But just want to appreciate you guys for taking the lead and having the courage to stay here and work with some of the obstacles. I know it's a challenge trying to get support, trying to connect with community. And that's why I wanted to reach out to you and get you guys on this platform, because I know people are watching. We are getting the feedback and people are saying, man, we appreciate this. We appreciate what you guys doing. It's a lot of helpful information. And, I'm a big supporter of education. And I think that's why we created our Educational Thursday, to be intentional, to make sure that we get the information to our community, educate our community on some things that's different. But we got work to do, and we're doing this from the heart. We don't have no back. We don't have no support. We had a people. That's it. This is us. This is our hard-earned dollars. We doing this ourselves because we don't want to sit back and wait. And I said this last Sunday, as the Black and brown community, we can't wait. We got to do what we need to do and make change and be impactful. And we can't wait on no funding, no grants. We can't wait. We just got to start doing the work, helping the people, making sure that our young people are getting the things they need. So just want to thank you guys again. Is there anything lastly that you guys want to say before we end out of here? I see a question on here. Somebody popped up with a question. Tashelle said, what do you guys like most about working in my community? She want to know, what do you guys think about working in D10?
In D10 in the Bayview, definitely, I think we all can talk a little bit to this. But I've been working here since 2016. And, what I love about, this community is that these children are brilliant. These children are ridiculously smart and talented. And I've had the privilege of working with elementary students now that have made it into the middle school range. And the narrative that, on a blanket basis, Black children, can't learn or, don't have what it takes. I just firsthand, Bayview has shown me that that is not true. And that when you can find ways to connect meaningfully, you can make that work happen. We did that on Saturdays, and that was a special way for us to do it. Kai is getting an opportunity to do that on his way to becoming a classroom teacher. I think that's going to have a lasting impact. But specifically what I love about the Bayview is that the children and the families I've been able to work with, show me that this is possible, that what we're talking about, what we're trying to do is not a waste of anybody's time. These kids want this, need it, can rise to the occasion. And, from us working at Willie Brown, when I first got here, we was at the YMCA, to us moving, now hopefully to our own building, in the next couple of years. I'm proud to work in a community that wants to build, wants to improve, wants to invest in its children. That's what I see here.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Daniel, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I think so. It's two things. One about the people, and then first about like the actual geographical space. About 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, walking around in Bayview, I think probably that's some of the best time anywhere I've been in the world, like that period of time. Because it's cold and it's gonna get kind of gray and windy. Closer you get to 5 o'clock and whatnot. But those 4 hours and those views hitting the water, that's it's special. It's very, very special. And I think people that are from and grow up in the Bay kind of take it for granted just how dope it is to have that as your background. I think the biggest thing for me working in Bayview, it's easy to have a plan and show up, meet who you got to meet, but real recognize real, and if you're real, if you're a real person and you're comfortable in your skin, like Bayview is going to receive you, like because they're gonna they're gonna smell the fake from too far away, and so you're not even going to be able to have the conversations on this show and really have any traction if you're not cut from a certain cloth. And I can appreciate it when too much of the lights and the glitz and the glamour hasn't infiltrated community to a degree where you can't be real. And Baby still has that. D10 has that. And yeah, I really appreciate it.
Go ahead, Kai.
Yeah, I'll keep mine short because I really just came to the Bayview area in September, so I've only had a short time here. But in my short time here, I've definitely experienced that Bayview Hunters Point is such a like family oriented community. Everybody knows each other. Like the students, I work with kids as young as kindergarten all the way through middle school. The youngest kid knows the oldest kid. They have classes with the little brother. Their parents know each other. They make sure they're getting home from school each day. So it's important that the community realizes that the family orientation is big. It's making sure that everyone is taking care of each other because as we see, we only have each other. So that's one thing I've definitely seen in Bayview. And just it pretty much I'll leave it there. Just the family orientation.
No problem, no problem. I think that was powerfully said. One last thing before I close this thing out. If you guys could definitely let the people know how to get a hold of you, your social media handles. Maybe there's a parent that want to get their kid involved. Can somebody let them know how to get a hold of you guys with some kind of email or phone number or website, whatever you guys want to put out there for the people? That'll be helpful.
You can email contact at urbanedacademy.org. That's contact at urbanedacademy.org. I'm on Facebook. The handle I think is Urban Ed Boys. Twitter, the handle is Urban Ed Boys, and on Instagram is urbaned.sf. And the website, of course, is urbanedacademy.org. We're on this mission to get this done, getting our men in these schools, and would love to talk to anybody, looking to support that.
Definitely. And I want you guys to know you have an open invitation here. If there's any flyers, any community information you want us to get out, or if you want to have an announcement that you want to announce to the community or something special going on, I just want you guys to know that you're welcome. Reach out to us. We'll get that information out to the community. One thing here is we trying to be that another part of that communication hub. I know it's been challenging. A lot of people in the community saying communication is not happening. And we're just trying to be one of those hubs to make sure, communication is going to community. We got a lot of people from the community that's on this platform. So we definitely want to extend that out to you guys and just let you know. And I want to thank you guys again for you brothers stepping up, man, and doing the things that you need to do to protect our young brothers and sisters, making sure they're getting educated and making sure they have a safe place for education and learning. I think that's important. So just want to say thank you guys for that, man. Appreciate you guys. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get ready to start closing this out. First of all, I just want to say, hey, our co-founder is not here tonight. So people saying, hey, where's Rico? We had some community events that took place overnight, and he's out there actively with a bunch of people in the community dealing with some police and community stuff that's going on. I know they've been in meetings for a while, and that's why he's not here today. We lost some young brothers to violence again in our community overnight. The tension levels is high in our city. I know we're getting close to the holidays. We're getting close to the end of the year. This pandemic is starting to put a lot of pressure on a lot of people. And just want to ask the people to continue to pray for these families who lost their loved ones, and to all of the families that's been losing their loved ones over this year through the COVID, to violence, whatever. We just got to keep the families in the prayer, keep the communities in prayer, and just understand that things is happening out here, and it's affecting us all. These incidents that take place in our community, it affects us all. And there's a lot of people in the community coming together, trying to come up with solutions and trying to put an end to this stuff. Today we had the march. We went out there, Justice for Jace, the young man who was killed in a senseless crime. I went out there today to support them. Thanks to all the community that came out. We had SF Black Wall Street out there. We had SVIP out there, Us for Us, United Players. We had the City Eats out there. We had a lot of community organizations who came together to support the family of the young man that was killed. We just have to be mindful, community. These situations are tragic and they are tough for our community. We have to stick together and unify. We go continue to work with our young people. We have to come up with some conflict resolution, some conversations with them. We have to figure out a way to end and curb some of this violence. And I know James Caldwell, his people, and just a number of people out there. We're trying to do things, but we got to work with these young people. And I think it starts with listening to our young people and making sure that we intentional on giving them the things and the helps that they need to be successful. So they have things to get into. And what you guys doing at Urban Ed is one of the great ways to get them involved early. So they have things that they could like and enjoy and be involved with. And I think that's important to have that safe space. So with that being said, you guys, this Thursday, we will not have an Educational Thursday presentation because it is the observation of the holiday. We will not have an Educational Thursday, but we will replay some of our previous shows that we had on Educational Thursday to try to bring people up to speed. And if you haven't, go to our YouTube page. You can see some of the stuff that's been going on. And hopefully for the new year, people will start getting caught up and see what's going on our Educational Thursdays. But then this Sunday, I don't know if you guys watched, we had amazing, powerful, impactful conversations with our mothers of the community, talking about their experience of motherhood. I think it was dope. A lot of things came out of that conversation that we're going to follow that conversation up with this week. We had the Black Dad Experience where the dads came on and talked about their experience in parenting. And this Sunday, we're going to have the dads and the moms of the community to come together and talk and try to come up with some solutions on co-parenting, some solutions on how we deal with each other, talk about some of the loopholes in the conversation that we had, some of the frustration that the mothers had, some of the frustration that the fathers had, and try to come up with a healing process so that we can help educate the community. We know through communication, healing works. We have some people that's going to be coming on that we're going to talk to help try to look at some kind of reform to make family court, child support a little bit equitable for mothers and fathers, and finding ways for accountability. We heard you, mothers. I know the mothers said it a lot, accountability for the fathers. And we go try to bring transparent communication, working with our leaders, elected officials, try to get some reform here locally, and maybe we could be the model for the state and beyond. But we're going to have that conversation. I think it's important. This conversation is not a bashing conversation. So all the brothers out there, go watch the motherhood video last week. We're replaying it. It'll be uploaded on YouTube. For the mothers, watch the dad experience. We're going to try to have a healthy conversation. It's not to bash anybody. We don't want to argue. We don't want to fight. What we want to do is have communication so that the people that are watching, so the people that's involved can get an understanding. It can be clear, and we go respect each other and show love to each other, and show them how adults really supposed to do it, because our kids is watching, and we're gonna be following up, hearing from them, and it's important. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday's conversation. It's gonna be a blast, I'm sure. It'll be some funny stuff. It'll be some ups and down moments, but we're gonna try to keep it together and have a real discussion that's gonna be impactful to the community. And then the following Tuesday, we'll have our final Hidden Gem show of the year. It'll be another great show that we're going to have. We got some amazing sisters coming on that's going to do some amazing things and talk about what they have going on. And then we'll be ending the year with that. And then the first conversation after the new year, we are talking to the parents of the community, the mothers and fathers who lost their kids to violence or any loss that they suffered from losing their child. So that should be an amazing conversation. If you know someone who lost a child through gun violence, police violence, whatever violence, or whatever situation that took the kids from their parents, I think it'll be a great conversation that we're going to have so the community can understand the feeling and understand the things that's going on with the mothers when they lose their child, or the fathers, and the support that they need, and how can we help them as community, and how do we keep their loved ones' names continue to live. And then that Thursday, we'll be back with our Educational Thursdays. We're going to have a tax lawyer come on here and talk about taxes and how to get ready for this tax season. So we got some amazing things coming up. We got our young people, all of the young people out there. If you're an adult out there and you have some young teenage people, let's get ready to start connecting with them, because we're going to have our youth forum, and we're going to let our youth talk. And as adults, we're going to listen, and we're going to let them talk about the issues that they're having and how they can impact the community. And as adults, how we listen and support them. So we got some amazing things coming up in the future. Just hang in there, keep supporting us, and we're going to do everything we can in our power to make this experience better. We're going to continue to enhance things and do the things that we can to make this a hub for information for our community. So thanks again, you guys, for joining tonight. This is Both Sides of the Conversation, our Hidden Gem segment. I am co-founder John Henry, and we are out.
Peace.